Welcome to the Big Biz Show. Taking care of business. You want fast-talking, hard-hitting discussions on business and finance? Maybe with a barroom slant and some really salty peanuts? We're not counting calories. We're counting cash. Before we get to the man with the financial plan, meet the money team. Costa, Mary, and Greg. Now Captain Finance himself, Sully.
Wherever you're watching, wherever you're listening, we welcome you to the Big Biz Show. We are inside the Loft 100 studios here in Southern California. As we like to begin every show, a big old howdy to ya. Costa,
I don't think we do that.
Executive producers Greg Todorov and Sully.
I'm sure we do that. Right?
It's on T-shirts everywhere.
Big howdy to you.
Devin, get on that.
Yeah.
ABHTY.
Exactly.
All right.
Taking off like a rocket.
There you go. Howie Font, our lead analyst, chiming in to start the show in New York City. Here he comes now.
New York City.
I miss New York.
What's up, Howie? Give us, before we get into this antitrust era, which I think you need to probably educate us on. What's going on with the markets these days? I think things have settled out. We've got a little bit of dead cat bounce, which means we dropped so much. Typically, the Wall Street adage is even a dead cat will bounce if dropped from a high enough building. So it really is. So what you're seeing in the market is this big drop and then a bounce. This is truly a dead cat bounce, right?
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of been the reaction, right? We're going to stay in this range. We've beat the subject to death on tariffs and all the uncertainty there. That is the leading cause in the market. The Fed and the administration's ability to fire the Fed chairman is what's in the news. It's what's driving everything. But yeah, it looks like we're staying in this range, this 10% drop since the tariff announcements, and we'll go back and forth right now. The S&P, for example, is at like a little below 5,300 right now.
Well, so the interesting part of this thing is the U.S. government, Department of Justice, is concerned with something called antitrust in big organizations, so as not to have unfair market manipulation. Okay. Now, I don't know how I feel about antitrust unless people are colluding to fix prices or something like that, and all the big guys get together. But when you talk about something like Meta or Google, okay, listen, I'm not going to my Netscape browser right now, and I'm not going to Big Daddy or whatever. I'm using Google. Everybody's using Google. It's the best practices. Why are we concerned about Meta's antitrust problems? Why has the Justice Department got their targets on them?
Yeah, it's actually very interesting because this case has gone through the Department of Justice over 3 or 4 administrations. They're trying to say that 10 years ago, the acquisition of Instagram by Facebook at the time was anti-competitive because they only bought it to squash the competition. And there's some emails that Mark Zuckerberg said that's saying these guys are growing faster than us. These guys are doing better than us. They're going to have our lunch. We have to acquire them. They tried to do the same thing with Snapchat. They couldn't get a price together. And this merger, the government is actually looking to unwind the whole merger. That's the requested remedy. Whoa. So that would mean that Meta would have to spin off Instagram and maybe WhatsApp and some of the other.
So here's my problem with this specific lane. This specific lane comes down to the will of the people. Okay.
Yes.
They either like what they see or they don't. It's just like music and television, right? You can be as great as you want, but if somebody doesn't, if that's not their bailiwick, they're not going to take advantage. People didn't jump onto MySpace. People didn't jump onto Vine. People didn't jump onto Snapchat as fast as they did Instagram. So if the will of the people, the consumers, is that that's why can't Google or Meta as a publicly traded company make acquisition of something that's only going to that it's a smart buy? Stand by there.
The issue is that if you never allow the market to get those companies, right?
Come back after the break when you tell us that.
Because Howie Font, financial analyst here on the Big Biz Show. Much more to talk with him.
I mean, we're not selling televisions here. This is something completely different. This is social media. I mean, you can track people's.
See you in a bit.
They're tracking everything.
I'll continue in a minute.
That is the Day Trader Trio as we get back to the Big Biz Show. Thanks everybody for being along for the ride here inside the Loft 100 studios. Costa, Maribert, Godwin, Greg Todorov, our executive producer, and Sully. We're talking with our financial analyst here on the Large Financial Program, Mr. Howard Font.
Does that open as a use on your website,
Yeah.
Large Financial Program?
Yeah.
So Howie, who stands to benefit if this deal's unwound, and who stands to be harmed if it didn't get unwound? Because as users of this thing, I'm buying stuff on their advertisement like everybody else does, just like going to Amazon.
It's funny. It's funny you frame it like that, because that has been the standard. The user, the consumer standard, has been how we kind of judge antitrust actions. So, like you were saying in the first part of the segment, am I worse off? Is this a cartel? Are they, price fixing or working together like that? That's kind of been the traditional standard for antitrust action. As long as you could prove that the consumer was better off because this happened, you were in the clear. Now the Justice Department is coming in and saying, actually, we just don't like that you're that big and powerful.
That's exactly right. That's because what if, first of all, as consumers of Instagram and Google and the other products, I don't care.
It's better to have them connected. Maybe that's all I've ever known.
Well, the other thing too is the only thing that hurts is shareholders, investors. I mean, I don't understand what it's a net zero, or what if it's a net zero? Why?
Yeah, I mean, the government's arguing that for Instagram, as an example, we never got to see the full potential. Maybe Instagram would have done different things if they hadn't been owned by Meta. Then maybe they would have used data differently. Google took Android.
And if a meteor hit New York City, maybe we wouldn't have New York City. I mean, you can't go through business. The Trump administration has historically been lenient on antitrust. And I'm assuming it's for the same reason. It's a good business decision sometimes. Like, you have to ask the question, like, who stands to lose?
Well, the president doesn't think that the big tech companies have been fair to him traditionally. It's been a big political point. So he's let the DOJ kind of continue these cases and even push them more against specific companies. Mark Zuckerberg gave $1 million to the inauguration fund and has been trying to
kiss up,
meet him halfway and make changes in Meta. Yeah, and one of the hopes of that effort was, maybe he tells the DOJ not to move forward with the lawsuit, and he didn't do it. The lawsuit started last week. Mark Zuckerberg has been in court several times testifying, and we're going to see what the judge says, and do they have to actually go all the way and sell off or spin off Instagram?
Again, out of Trump's playbook. He likes to let people's feet get in the fire a little bit before he lets them off the hook. Look at what he did with the tariffs just 3 weeks ago. He put a pause right when the bullets were whizzing overhead and it was getting crazy. He goes, okay, hold on a second, we'll do a pause for however many weeks. He knows exactly how this is played. He's playing it like a fiddle. I think the same thing goes here, because I don't think, look, he's punishing them because obviously they took a negative stance on the platform against him personally. I think that's part of it. But at the end of the day, these ongoing antitrust lawsuits with Meta and Google, I can understand if a grocery store goes out and buys all the other grocery stores. Yeah. It doesn't let the mom and pop make it. But isn't that what antitrust was about in the first place?
Yeah. Well, listen, the FTC actually did. Lena Khan, right at the end of the term, prevented a merger between Kroger and Albertsons, saying, this is not what's better.
And that's what it's for.
This is not what is good for prices. So they have been doing things like that. But imagine, I'd love to get everyone's opinion, because we all use these services. Not only is there a case saying Google manipulated, they, for example, paid Apple to make the #1 search on iPhone and on Mac. They did pay them hundreds of billions of dollars.
And you know what? And companies pay those guys all the time to be #1 on the search engine.
Keywords and all that other crap.
I understand that you got to pay for that real estate. They want to be the #1 search engine. You pay for that privilege. That's part of their business model.
So now they're saying, okay, we're going to look at all the old stuff. We might want you to spin off Chrome or YouTube or Android. But also now there's a case saying, we're not going to let you also have a chokehold on AI. So you can't pre-install Gemini, which is Google's ChatGPT product, and you can't get a foothold there. So it's really going to determine whether or not we have big, giant tech companies in the country, or they're going to have to be smaller in the future.
This reminds me, and I'm surprised there's no antitrust, or maybe there is. When you look at, I was watching the Lakers game the other night.
Okay.
It was ESPN and ABC.
Yes.
Okay. Lakers Timber.
Oh, talk about a monopoly.
Love Timber. That's what I'm talking about.
Yep.
So you used to have the big three, and then you've got all of the cable companies, and you got the whole what I call the wholesale Costco news, CNN, all.
The college football playoff is the perfect example. All of the bowls, including the playoff games, are with ABC and ESPN. Fox has a bowl game,
and they
in the
pay.
postseason.
And so why? So what is the difference between that and what's going on in the social media space? And the interesting part is, once again, when our preferences have something to do with it, just as use of a service.
Yeah.
Like we vote with our feet sometimes, right? We move out of California, we move out of Texas, we move into Florida, whatever.
Right.
We're voting with our feet. I think we're voting with our eyeballs and with our clickers and with our cell phones on who we want to use. And again, look, I think most people in this country would agree that they are fiscally conservative and they're relatively socially liberal. That's most people. I'm not talking about the religious right or the tie-dye T-shirt granola left all the way to both.
Mary.
No, she's not. She's more center.
Sorry.
But my point is,
my throat.
most people are pretty similar, even though they kind of lean one way or the other or identify. It's the same thing happening with like, I just don't understand the effect. If we don't care. Like, and the only people that care is like, why does the government have to put their nose in this business? I mean, how many millions of dollars have been spent in this lawsuit?
Oh, sorry, go.
No, I said, how many millions of dollars have been spent in this lawsuit?
Hundreds of taxpayer dollars, armies of law
We're losing
firms.
more money from the prosecution of this as individuals, right?
Yeah,
I mean, it's,
I don't know if it
this
has
is a
something to do with the
decade-long
end user.
fight. Yes.
Good.
I don't know if it has something to do with the end user or if it has something to do with the advertisers who are trying to buy ads on Facebook and Instagram. Because once Facebook acquired Instagram, you no longer had two options. You had one option.
Then go create another. This is
So
go create another thing.
100%.
Right?
Exactly.
It's
but I think therein lies perhaps what they're arguing,
the users don't pay
which
anything.
is, the users don't pay anything. That's just the end user.
But the reason I bring up
you're just
users,
using the platform.
The reason I bring up
But it's the advertisers
Yeah.
Right.
who are the ones who are now saying, okay, I don't have any other option. I have one option. I have Meta.
And the thing that I think of is, as a user, okay, we are molding the advertisers because of what we want to see come across our platform. But I think this is different than a car company. I think it's different than Chrysler and Ford and Chevy all getting together and making one company. Mm-hmm. I think this is different because it's a fabric of it's how we communicate now. It's how we look at my answering on my cell phone says I'm away from my camera right now because the phone's the last thing I use on it. Mm-hmm. And it's if this wasn't so inserted in the fabric of our everyday communication in how we do business and how even the government conducts business, I just think there needs to be some sort of a different bar here because it's a waste of taxpayer money. We're still talking about this 12 years later, right? Or 3 administrations or something like that. What's the outcome, Howie? What do you think it's going to be for our chat here today?
Listen, I mean, I really hope that, kind of like you, I really hope that they don't do a consent decree like they did with Microsoft. Microsoft famously had in the 2000s to separate a bunch of businesses. They couldn't install Internet Explorer anymore, pre-installed on Windows.
Howie, I'm glad you brought that up because Supreme Court Judge Thomas Penfield Jackson, 2001, caved the dot-com bubble with that one antitrust decision when they went after Microsoft unfairly because they were just going for their customers' desires and to have a certain back then it was a browser. Remember how browsers were so important back then? You need Netscape or whatever. It's the exact same. It caved the market. It burst the dot-com bubble single-handedly when Thomas Penfield Jackson, Superior Court judge, ruled on the antitrust case for Microsoft. And this is another example. We got enough headwinds going, man. We got enough headwinds going in the economy, with the tariffs and everything else.
I also think that, if we don't have the giants here and the tech companies are the big innovative engines, for example, Google uses all of its excess profit to do research, and they actually put out a public white paper in 2016, I want to say, on the generative transformers, which became ChatGPT, and like they had the first one. It was public research that they do. There's a lot that goes on as far as R&D at these companies that I think is a counterbalance maybe to the universities. So it's very, very complex. I maybe want to see them regulated if there's an outcome that we don't want, like the issue with advertisers, but let's not destroy our golden goose.
Agreed.
He is Howie Font. He is the Big Biz Show's market analyst. Always love talking with that guy. Howie, we'll talk to you next week. Thank you, my friend. All right, you right there. Keep it right here. Much more to come with the Big Biz Show. Over 175 countries, all the ships at sea on the American Forces Network. Big Biz Show rolls on live from the Loft 100 studios. Day Trader Trio right there. Costa, Marybird Godwin. Our executive producer is Greg Todorov. And Sully over here.
Great to have you along today. I am so excited once again to have Andrew Kiguel. I don't think Andrew knows how much we talk about Andrew Kiguel.
He's like the coolest guy we ever met.
Talking about
CEO of Realbotix, ticker symbol XBOT and XBOTF. The F means it's an American traded company, but it's domiciled elsewhere.
Are those the robots?
These are the robots. You weren't here that day, were you?
No.
This is cool.
Mary.
Whoa.
Andrew, what's up, brother? Good to talk to you again, man. We need to get you in studio and spend a whole hour with you, man. I'm telling you.
Yeah, I'd love to do that.
Let's talk about, I want you to take it from the top, and I want to talk about the TIX4 deal, but before we do that, what we just saw there on the website is something pretty remarkable, and I think you have sort of crossed the great divide of what we've always thought could happen in robotics with personal robots and such. Explain what you're talking about.
Whoa.
Yeah, right? I mean, yeah.
Okay, I'm unwell right now.
And Andrew, this is Mary. Mary's one of our co-hosts. She was not here when you were on last time, but take us through, because these are, this is better than the movies, is what I'm saying. I'll let you take it from there, Andrew.
Well, we've reimagined what robots can be used for, what they can look like, and how you can actually customize them. And so we design robots for human interaction. They're not for physical labor, but what they can be used for is customer service roles, entertainment, and even companionship. And so we make our robots, there's a whole bunch of things that make our robots super unique in how we sort of even just think about building them.
Talk about the evolution of robots has been going on. We've talked about it for 30 years. But I think this is really the tip of the spear finally, is it not? I mean, you guys are in a better position technology-wise than probably you ever have been in your industry, correct?
Yeah, well, look, robots have been around for a long time, and even AI has been around for a long time. What's happening now is really the convergence of both, where they're being integrated in together. So our robots not only look very human, but they're completely operated via AI. So you can have the personality of the robot that manages, you greet the robot, it doesn't just say hello back, it will actually lift up its arm and wave at you. And so all of these things that we've integrated into our large language models are very unique.
You mentioned labor in your last comment. Is that going to happen sometime? Is there going to be a robot that can do my laundry
yeah, like Rosie from the Jetsons.
Yeah. That's not a focus for us. There's a lot of other companies out there that are really focused on the physical labor aspect. Our philosophy is really more, you don't need a robot that looks like our robot to do physical labor.
Good point.
The reason you want a robot that looks very human is to have it as, you walk into a store, a retail store, and you have a robot there that makes you feel comfortable, that you can ask questions like, what's on sale? Where can I find this? Tell me about the product. Or a robot that can maneuver around a nursing home and talk to the residents there and make them feel comfortable, remember their names. And so we're really focused on that part of the robotics sector, which is social interaction, as opposed to robots that are going to be lifting boxes or mowing your lawn.
Andrew Kiguel, the CEO of Realbotix, their ticker symbols XBOT and XBOTF. Andrew, give us the down low on TIX4, the retail ticket vendor in Las Vegas.
Yeah. Okay, so this is quite extraordinary what we're planning to do there, Sully. So Tix4 is one of the largest ticket sellers in Las Vegas with kiosks all over the city. And these are generally manned by humans. And you walk up and say, tell me what's going on in Vegas tonight, and they'll be able to sell you tickets to Cirque du Soleil or any of the other, entertainment shows that are ongoing in the city. What we are going to do is design a robot for them. We're going to put it into one of their kiosks, and anybody will be able to walk up to the robot and say, hey, how are you? Tell me what's going on in the city tonight. Basically, anything you can ask the robot, and it will respond to you and have a database of what shows are available, where, what the tickets cost, how many tickets are available, how to get there, and you can even ask it what they think of the show. Is it good? Is it bad? Who does it appeal to? And all that information will be housed there for clients to get to. But more importantly, the robots will be able to collect that information. So it'll ask questions back, maybe like, why are you in Vegas? What type of shows do you like? And be able to build a database for what its clients are looking for in entertainment when they visit a place like Vegas. Now let's extrapolate that for a second. I don't want to talk too long, but imagine you put that at all types of entertainment venues, anywhere in North America, hotels, museums, casinos, where you have a guide, a greeter, or a robot that can give you information that might be too much for a human to hold, but it can provide that to you as well as collect information about the people that are, the foot traffic for that store.
Andrew, so as a shareholder myself, what I see here, that's great. That's good service. What I see here is that that interaction that you're creating, which doesn't exist right now, is going to increase sales. It's a funnel. I mean, as far as a business model goes, it's brilliant because, first of all, you don't know what you don't know because as you just said, as they're collecting data, there's that's for the future services and potential model. But right there, this is going to sell more tickets for Tix4. And I think that's right, which means we sell more robots to you. This is in every venue across the country.
And possibly provide more accurate information. The robot's not going to make a mistake on when the show starts or what type of tickets are available. And so it's able to house a database that's far more accurate and updated than what a human could hold.
Andrew, extremely elementary question from me. What is the power source for the robots? I mean, how long is it? I'm assuming it's a battery. They're not plugged into an AC outlet. What is the life of the robot?
Yeah, so you're actually right on both. We build the robots to have a battery in the base.
Okay.
That is actually has wheels that are powered, so it can move around.
Okay.
And that battery can last anywhere from 4 to 8 hours, depending on use.
Gotcha.
So think about it like a laptop. If you're running heavy stuff on it, the battery will last less. Or you can just plug it into the wall.
Okay.
Simple as that.
It's that simple.
So talk to us for 2025. I mean, the future is pretty bright for you guys, and you're at the right place, right time. What are you most excited about here for the second half of the year coming up?
I'm really excited about these trials. So we're having conversations with lots of potential clients, and these are enterprise clients. So people that could potentially buy, not one robot, but many robots. And what I'm excited about is to put these into actual environments with humans and people to watch them interact. We did a conference in Toronto last week called Discovery X, and we had a panel on stage with one of our robots. And the robot was answering all the questions. It was funny. And even when questions weren't being asked of the robot, it was able to pick up and take cues and sort of add in funny responses based on the conversation that was going on. And I thought it was remarkable. The way we're looking and using robots, nobody else is doing. The robot was part of the panel on stage.
Unbelievable.
Our days are numbered, Mike.
Yeah, we're done.
This is going to be Sully and three of Andrew's robots.
Skynet is active.
Andrew Kiguel, thanks, buddy. I appreciate it. We're going to see you next week. I got to get you out here to San Diego.
Oh, my God.
So exciting.
Amazing stuff.
And when he goes to Vegas to cut that deal, we're just going to fly right over.
I think so. He is the CEO of Realbotix. Again, ticker symbols XBOT, XBOTF. All right, much more to come with the Big Biz Show. If we're here when we get back and not robots, we'll see.
Loft 100 Studios, the Big Biz Show, and our affiliates and our hosts are not registered investment advisors or broker-dealers.
Our show hosts make no commitment that the purchase of securities of companies profiled or otherwise mentioned in our programming
are suitable or advisable for any person, or that an investment in such securities will be profitable in general.
Given the nature of the company's profile and the lack of an active trading market for the securities, investing is highly speculative and carries a certain high degree of risk.
We profile selected publicly traded and privately held companies on our program.
Most of these companies that we profile have provided compensation to Loft 100 Studios and its hosts for the profile coverage.
From time to time, we sell shares of the companies profiled in the open market that we receive as compensation for coverage of client companies.
But never sell stocks if we are speaking about interviewing or covering a public company who has paid compensation.
Specific questions on compensation can be obtained by contacting producer at sullyantgroup.com.
Listeners should verify all claims and do their own due diligence before investing in any securities mentioned on this program.
Investing in securities is speculative and carries a high degree of risk.
We encourage our investors to invest carefully and read the investor information available at the websites on the
Securities and Exchange Commission at sec.gov and or the Financial Industry Regulatory Authority, FINRA, at www.finra.org.
I like it.
Hey, is that a rescue plane?
Continuing in Southern California, we are inside the Loft 100 Studios. We are the Big Biz Show. Everybody out there watching, hanging out with us, thank you. That's the Day Trader Trio. I'm Costa, Mary Bird Godwin, Greg Todorov, our executive producer, and Sully.
I got to tell you, that robot thing is fascinating.
I'm not over it. I'm going to be thinking about it all day.
Well, it's because, look, he brought up a thing about companionship. Okay? And the companionship thing is, you know, what's worse than alcoholism and smoking for elderly? It's loneliness.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, I mean, there's studies on the thing, and it's almost like, look, there's a reason you have a dog and a cat, right?
Yep.
Right?
100%.
And I'm not suggesting that it's just that, but I mean, could you imagine a world 10 years from now where you're comfortable talking to the Zumba?
Mm-hmm. It's gonna be
the Roomba or whatever.
Well, he already
Zumba.
He said they were going through nursing homes.
Yeah.
I like that actually, that usage, because my mom was just in a care facility last year and nobody knew her name and nobody knew anything about her.
Yep.
And I envisioned this nice little robot coming in and talking to her and giving her companionship.
Well, it's a safe option too. I don't think they all have to look like hot blondes. I mean,
No.
Right.
No, I mean they could look like a caretaker or something.
Mary, anybody.
Caretakers can be hot blondes.
Yeah, but they got some hot blondes on the website.
Mike.
Who's our next guest, Michael?
Our next guest is Mr. Allan Evans, the CEO of Unusual Machines.
Speaking of unusual machines,
their ticker symbol is UMAC. Mr. Allan Evans joins the Big Biz Show.
Alan, how are you, sir?
I'm doing all right today. My hair's a little long. I need a haircut, and I do appreciate the AI you guys are talking about.
I love when a guy says, "How you doing?" "Hey, I'm crap. I got a haircut. I got too much sleep last night.
I'm a friggin' mess.
Move on with this stuff." Finally, an honest person.
I need a trim. Okay, I'm just going to be honest about it. You can come out and
almost
judge
out
me.
of frame.
It's fine. No, it is.
Yeah.
Alan, you're 2 inches taller than you normally are. Hey,
just wait for the pompadour.
I think we found a new favorite guest. Alan, let's talk about Unusual Machines, just for the folks who don't know you. Give an overview. What you guys do?
Yeah, keep it real simple. We're a backpack-sized drone company. We really focus on the FPV drones. So if you've seen drone racing or the videos in Ukraine, that's what our Rotorite brand is. And then really what we've been working on is drone parts and putting drone parts in the U.S. So we thought a long time ago, hey, they're kicking out Chinese drones. They're probably going to kick out Chinese drone parts. Let's get in front of it. We did. And so now we're moving to B2B2G sales, and it's going pretty well. Onshore production.
Begs to ask the question about tariffs. You guys, obviously, when you start talking about individual parts and stuff, there's two things that come to mind. Is hopefully we never get a value-added tax, and number two, we got a tariff thing here. Well, how's that affected you? Let's face that real quickly. Have you guys had to pivot at all?
It's been good and bad. We've been ahead of it, and so I like to joke that you don't have to outrun the bear; you just have to outrun the other guy. So, like we're in front of the other guy. That's cool, but running through the woods still sucks. And the way these tariffs have been implemented is pretty different. So, and this is where small businesses have gone bad in some cases. If we ordered parts in, let's say, January, you assume a certain amount of tariffs. Okay, you pay for the parts, they're on a boat, they show up, bang, tariffs change.
Yeah.
The parts you paid for are now stuck in customs till you pay the tariff to get them out.
Yeah.
And with the super jump, particularly in Chinese tariffs, but you also look at like Vietnam or Taiwan or whatever,
right,
you're suddenly paying another 50% just to get your parts off the boat. So it's been dynamic.
Yeah. Well, and luckily, and I think there's a Cold War going on with respect to how Donald Trump's handling it. I think there's a lot of bluster. It's certainly shaken up some feathers, and it was supposed to. Hey, can you tell us? I was doing some research on you guys. What is a T-motor, and why is there a ban on them? Because that has to do directly with what you guys are dealing with.
Completely. So Chinese companies, you have like DJI. You've seen all the drones at weddings and stuff. They're the amazing drones you see. Awesome Chinese drone company, banned from the federal government, and there's an upcoming FCC ban, so they won't be allowed in the U.S. T-Motor is this amazing Chinese drone motor company. They probably do 70% of the motors for the backpack size category. And they were just sanctioned in January, which means nobody can send them money, even with the tariffs.
Wow.
So people have about 6 months of backlog, and we're trying to build an actual drone motor factory, like signed the lease, ordered the equipment, all that stuff in Orlando right now to replace what they're doing. And so that was a surprise to not just us, but to the industry, to be like, oh, whoop, this number one supplier gone.
And for you, though, that's yet another business model? As a factory?
Oh, yeah. We were working on it anyway, and now them being kicked out just opens up $50 to $100 million of like immediately addressable sales.
Allan Evans is the CEO of Unusual Machines. Their ticker symbol is UMAC. Allan, with that ban on the DJI that goes into effect is it the end of this year?
End of this year, it's a government ban.
Okay.
And then at the end of next year, it's an FCC ban, so they can't bring in new products.
So do you start taking DJIs apart and start thinking in terms of, well, people who have those are going to need parts when they break down. We're going to manufacture those parts as well?
No, we don't really look at doing repair for them. We're really hoping that as part of all this, a U.S. manufacturer comes along and builds a good replacement.
Okay.
And we're just trying to partner with all those potential manufacturers because we'd like our parts to be in the replacements.
What about the retail channel enterprise component with what you guys have going on?
So we just launched our first enterprise parts last September. So retail still dominates what we do.
Okay.
Last quarter, so way back Christmas time, enterprise was about 15% of the mix. What's really cool and we didn't realize is that having an enterprise store simplifies the sales process.
Yeah,
People want samples. We're like, just go buy them.
Yeah, right.
R&D departments want service. Call customer service.
So the next question is scaling that, right? I mean, look, you got to burn a couple of steaks on the barbecue before you open up the restaurant. Well, you figured out the recipe now. How do you scale that on a bigger level?
Keep doing what we're doing. Every quarter's been the best quarter of all time.
Good for you.
Team's been great. And then I think what you're going to see is the government turn on real orders for U.S. drone companies, and we're going to see it come. But we're already big enough that that's not the scary problem. We're sort of getting there,
Well, as a potential shareholder, I can tell you, your cap table is bulletproof. You don't have any debt. You got a 2-year burn rate. I mean, this is as far as fundamentals go. And I know that obviously, stocks don't always trade on fundamentals, but fundamentally, you guys are bulletproof at this point. And plus, it's a pure U.S. play, which I think is something that you guys should lead with. I think that's good. I need more of you on the air. I don't have enough time to talk to you because when you start thinking about AI coming into the large purchase of drones in the U.S. government as well as in everybody's home, your whole business changes, doesn't it?
Yeah, and that's what's super exciting. So the FAA is going to open up beyond visual line of sight, so like drone delivery. I'm super pumped about Taco Bell just showing up when I want to.
Wait a second.
Or nobody's stealing it off my porch.
Can you do Starbucks
here
too?
It is. Yes. Yeah. Imagine driving along in your car. Starbucks delivers to you why the self-driving car, and you just get a coffee on the road.
And it just brings
Get your hand out the window.
Yeah,
shoot, bam.
I'm in. I'm in.
Sunroof is going to happen. It's really just going to become
Can I tell you, in this studio here, I think we got in studio, we'd love to have you come in sometime. We got like 11 or 22 cameras shooting here. But when we do stuff outside, I can't remember the last time we shot a package to play on the show that we didn't use a drone. Indoor now, I mean, always. I think this is going to be, as I'm fond of mentioning, we didn't have the word iPad or iPod or iPhone in our lexicon 20 years ago. I imagine this is where these things are going with the drones the next level. Buddy, you got to come back with us. I really appreciate you coming on here.
Yep.
Allan Evans.
Love to be in person. Appreciate you guys.
Allan Evans, CEO, Unusual Machines. Their website is unusualmachines.com. Their ticker symbol, UMAC. American-made drones. All right, much more to come with the Big Biz Show. Don't go anywhere. The Big Biz Show rolls on wherever you're watching, wherever you're listening. Thank you so much for being with us today on this very fun program to be part of. Fun to be part of sitting here watching, listening to the DTT. That is the Day Trader Trio back here at the bar. Mike Costa, Mary Bird Godwin, Greg Todorov, and of course Sully.
Good to have you along. What a show today. And we're going to wrap it up with our good friend Steve JJ Weisman, the Scam Man. First joined us, maybe 20 years ago, with Russ and I on the radio with a book called The Truth About Avoiding Scams. And then we started talking, and he started writing more books, identity theft and so on and so forth. And not only is he a professor of law at Bentley University, he also goes into the prison systems and teaches as well. And the interesting part is he came up with an adage way back when, things aren't as bad as you think, they're worse, which is true. I can tell you that not only have my parents, but my kids also have benefited from his advice because scammers go for young adults and old people, generally. And
it's getting worse with AI.
Well, guess who's here? Steve JJ Weisman, the Scam Man. What's up, bud? Good to see you.
Good to see you.
I have to ask you, with the T word that's on the news all the time, tariffs, I got to believe someone's figured out a way to rip us off with respect to tariffs, right?
Absolutely. Anything that the public is interested in or that's in the news, the scammers are going to jump on. And it was interesting to note because there are these sites that register domain names. So when a scammer is going to set up a phony site, you can find out from what they're doing there. And in January, there were 300 websites that were tied to tariffs, including one as U.S. Customs and Tariffs, which doesn't have anything to do with U.S. Customs and Tariffs. So what we're going to be seeing, and we're just starting to see, so I'm glad you asked me about this to warn people early, is you're going to be getting an email, a text message, a phone call telling you that there's a delivery from FedEx or whatever, but you need to pay the tariff first. The thing is, the tariffs are paid by the importers. The companies will add this on to the charges for items, but anytime you're asked to pay for the tariff, it's a scam. And so whether it's someone posing as FedEx who never asked for any kind of a tariff payment, or any company that you do business with, it's going to be phony. So if you see it on the invoice, you get it in a phone call, you get it in a text message, ignore it.
And the funny part is they, not only the emails, but when you get the stuff in the mail, it looks official. Totally. It looks so official now.
It looks so good. And that was, I heard you guys talking about AI making it worse. And that's so true. Because before, you had to have at least a modicum of talent, and particularly people who were scammers from, say, Nigeria or China or Russia. Their English may not be the best. Now, any idiot can go on the dark web and get the AI assistants to set up any kind of a scam. The emails, the text messages will look perfect, and you just can't trust anything.
Steve, is there a list of the tariff websites that haven't been taken yet? Asking for a friend.
No, but you can jump in there though.
I'll try. I take your advice, but I go the other way. I'll try and make my
Side
own
hustle.
scam. Hey, what's going on with the Hertz data breach? Dare I say it hurts? Yeah.
Oh. What he did there?
Wow.
Those guys also, aren't they thrifty in dollar also? Isn't Hertz also
Yes.
thrifty in dollar too?
Yeah, and that's a really good point, because there are people who are thinking, I didn't rent from Hertz, but if you rented from Thrifty, if you rented from Dollar, you too are in jeopardy. And these days, you're so vulnerable, no matter how good you are at keeping your personal information private. The fact is, you're only as secure as the places that have it with the weakest information, which is one reason never give your social security number out if someone asks for it, some company that they want it for identification. I had to see a doctor the other day, and they wanted my social security number, which I didn't make an issue of. I just didn't give it to them. And your doctors don't need it. And I particularly mention your doctors because healthcare is about the worst at protecting your personal information. Yeah. With Hertz, it's going to hurt. The data breach happened a while ago. You may get something from Hertz for some, free credit monitoring for all it's worth. Freeze your credit. That's the best thing you can do to protect yourself from any kind of a data breach.
Hey, Steve, so I was starting to get legitimate DMV email and DMV mail about the Real ID. Now, Real ID, of course, you're going to require what's called a Real ID to travel domestically on any airline unless you bring a passport. Talk about that, because I got to believe the legitimate ones I see, I've had 3 more letters in the mail that talk about Real ID that have nothing to do with the DMV. So I got to believe that I'm getting invoiced for something that I haven't done yet, and that's got to be another big scam.
Yeah, and the deadline's coming up on May 7th to get this. And as you said, Sully, if you don't have a passport, you're not going to be able to fly unless you have the Real ID. The thing is, if to get a Real ID, you have to provide your social security number and show this. The other thing is to remember that you can't do it online. You have to go in person to the Division of Motor Vehicles. So if you're getting an email, a text message, and even if it appears to come from the DMV, it isn't. And if it's a text message, they can spoof the number so it looks like the DMV. The same thing with an email or a phone call. So you've got to go in person. So that's the key thing to take out. Any kind of communication that you get regarding this, asking you for personal information, is a scammer who's going to steal your identity.
Yeah, and go review us once again, Steve. It's just the simple stuff. It's typos. It's looking at where the email address is coming from. Yeah. It's a misplaced logo or using an old logo of the company. What are some of those things?
Yeah, a lot of the times you get lazy scammers, and what they will do is they'll use what's called botnets. They hack into millions of people's computers and use those to send out the kind of scams that they're sending. So I may be getting something that's supposed to be from the DMV, but it's coming from Jay Stetson at BU EDU.
Yeah,
and
right.
So you know it's a scam. But the other thing is, some of these scammers are so good. There's the Cyrillic alphabet, which is the alphabet used for Slavic languages. It's very, very close to the regular English alphabet. And they will use the Cyrillic alphabet for email addresses that they're sending. And so the A looks exactly like an A that we have in the English alphabet, and it's going to fool you. I was sent one, and they told me to look for it. And it took me forever to still recognize it. So you gotta really be careful when you're going against the non-stupid criminals.
So you're telling me I shouldn't have sent my credit card info to reelid.com? God, Steve, you're crushing my dreams here.
Buddy, thanks.
Actually, that's one I set up, so that's okay. We kept it in the family.
Go straight to Steve. Thanks, pal.
Steve JJ Weisman, Scamicide.com, SCAMICIDE.com. Don't get scammed. And it's sad to say this, but it's the end of the show, too. We don't like to say it, but we do. Thanks for being part of the Big Biz Show. Everybody out there, we'll see you next time.
See you tomorrow, everybody.